Hello, I'm Sam Adair from the law firm of Graham Adair, and today I'm here to talk about options for Indian nationals who are currently stuck in the immigrant visa backlog awaiting for their green cards. Now, this video is a result of a promise that Chad Graham made in one of our more recent videos regarding the May Visa Bulletin, and so I'm here to make sure that we fulfill that promise in providing a video that would give some options. Now, before we get started with this video, it would really help us out if you would hit that subscribe button down below so that you'll be notified when we publish future videos and additional content. Additionally, it'll really help my ego if you would be willing to hit that like button. Chad and I have a minor contest going to see who can get the most likes on their videos. So go ahead and help me out and hit that like button as well. Now, as we get started here today, we're going to be focusing specifically on retrogression as it relates to Indian nationals who are in the employment-based green card process. We're focusing on Indian nationals because the backlog for Indian nationals to get through the immigrant visa process is so significant. In many cases, those wait times are 10, 12 years. And so we want to kind of talk through the options that are available and also sort of talk about strategies on how to deal with those delays and that backlog as best possible. First, we'll look at some options relating to the EB1 category. So we'll go ahead and start with the EB1A, or the Extraordinary Ability Immigrant Visa Classification. And for an individual to be able to qualify for the EB1A, they have to demonstrate several criteria. First, they have to demonstrate that they're paid at a high salary compared to others in their industry. And that can be using total compensation. So that can be bonuses that are paid, other incentive pay, potentially including stock options that are vested. You're going to want to look at the holistic compensation package that is available to you when making that assessment. Additionally, individuals need to work for organizations that have an outstanding reputation in their field, so a distinguished organization. Thirdly, we're going to want to look at publications. We're going to want to look at references to works that have been published and articles that have been written about the individual beneficiary or applicant of that EB1 application. Now, the EB1A is a very high standard, and while the criteria for it can seem fairly mundane, the USCIS really is looking for individuals who are outstanding. If you're thinking about pursuing this, you may want to start to build the case by getting your name out there more, publicizing the work that you're doing so that there are more articles written about your work, and really trying to make those contributions to your field so that you get that recognition. That said, for most people, that's not going to be a super viable option. Another EB1 option that is available is the EB1C, or the Multinational Manager Visa. Now, to get there, it requires jumping through some significant hoops. Primarily, in order to be eligible for the EB1C, an individual needs to have worked outside of the United States for 12 months in a managerial or executive capacity, and then be transferred to the United States to work in a managerial or executive capacity with a same or related organization. So for an individual who's here in the US right now who hasn't previously worked as a manager for their company, they would have to take at least a 1-year assignment outside of the US as a manager and then transfer back in order to be eligible to pursue the green card through that path. By doing this, it would shave potentially 7 to 8, maybe even 10 years off of the overall green card wait time. However, to get to a point where you're going to be eligible, you're going to have to take that assignment outside of the US. Obviously, there are a lot of considerations to take into place there, but that EB1C, Multinational Manager application, is an option that is available. Now, there are a few other options that are out there. Most of them are so far-flung generally that we don't even want to talk about them, but if an individual does have considerable personal wealth, the EB5 can also be an option for someone who's investing in a business. You're going to want to be looking at an investment that's going to be at least $1 million, and there are a lot of other hoops to jump through associated with that, but that EB5 could also be an option. Now, something that I do want to talk about is practical concerns related to surviving this extended wait time to get to the green card. So First and foremost, an individual is going to want to get into H-1B status. If you've come to the US on another visa classification, F, O, L, you're going to want to make that jump into the H-1B because of the flexibility that the H-1B provides. There are some limits around getting an H-1B. There are a limited number of H-1B visas that are available each year. So if you haven't previously held H-1B, you're going to have to be selected in the lottery for that. But it can be extended indefinitely while you're in the green card process, as long as your green card application has been pending for at least a year at the time that you would need to renew your H-1B at the 6-year limit. You definitely want to get an I-140 that has been approved so that you get that priority date locked in, and that's going to help you continue to get those H-1B extensions. There is some job flexibility with an H-1B. Similar positions are going to typically be okay. Promotions towards straight up the ladder will not require an amendment to an H-1B. However, if there are significant job changes, then there may be an H-1B amendment required. Additionally, you may be in a scenario where you have to also amend your underlying green card application. But if that is required, you will be able to maintain the priority date you have as long as your I-140 has already been approved. Lastly, the H-1B does allow some flexibility in terms of location, where you're working. However, you are going to have to file an amendment if there is a job location change. Another nice advantage of the H-1B is that it does allow an H-4 spouse to apply for an employment authorization document, or EAD card, once an I-140 has been approved and your priority date is retrogressed, meaning that you can't move forward further in the green card process. That is another advantage that's come about in the last few years, that H-4 EAD card. Additionally, individuals in H-1B status do have some advantages. Here in the US, you can buy property, you can purchase a home. Now that may be subject to some additional restrictions from a lender, such as a higher down payment or higher interest rate, but there is that flexibility to be able to purchase a home here in the United States. Furthermore, individuals in H-1B status can make certain passive investments, including investments in real property, rental properties, and additionally into the stock market. H-1B visa holders can participate with startup activity, startup businesses, and make investments there. But if an individual is going to be working for a startup, they would have to transfer their H-1B to that startup. And in that case, there has to be an employer-employee relationship, meaning you can't start a company on an H-1B and be the sole owner of that H-1B, because you're not going to be able to demonstrate that there's a difference between the employer and the employee in that instance. So while there are no silver bullets to solve the immigrant visa retrogression problem for Indian nationals, these are some tips and some suggestions on how you can work around that and survive this long wait for the green card. Again, please hit that like button below, subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much for being here with us today, and have a great week.